Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Sharnice, your inner work coach, and I'm so glad that you are here tonight. I see that Miss Bessie is here. I see Jamesia is here. I want you to go and tag your sisters, go and tag everyone that you can tonight. We are going to do a breakthrough session. I want you to type in the chat breakthrough. Type it in the chat as you come in. Breakthrough. That is what we are here for. Breakthrough. I'm trying to make sure all these devices are together. If you know anything about technology, honey, it was a time over here, a time. I want you to come in and say hey in the chat. Don't come in and be quiet. All right. Come on in. Hey, Toria, or is it Toria? Hey, Toria. Y'all come on in now. Come on in now. My daughter is in there, my baby. Aura is in there. I miss you, girl. Miss Bessie, come on in, y'all. I'm trying to get it on the right things over here to make sure I don't miss nobody. I don't miss nobody. I don't miss nobody. Now, it said I don't know how to do that. Oh, God. I think I messed something up, y'all. Oh, Jesus. I think I messed it up. Okay, I see y'all now. Instagram. I can see y'all on Instagram. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Let me make sure now. I can see y'all now. It's all working together. Type in the chat as you come in. Breakthrough on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's already 6:10 my time. I don't want to hold y'all for long, okay? Y'all see in the corner, I think it's right here on my screen. It's an e-guide. I'm going to be referencing that e-guide tonight. It's only $5. If you really want the e-guide and you just don't have it, listen, let me know. Email info at Chanel's on the other one. So I'm going to try to type it in here for y'all. I want y'all to just email info at charterstrategist.com. At this point, I'm willing to just give it away if you need it and you just don't have it, okay? I want you to have it. Y'all are going to see me. I'm going to pull up a chart tonight. I want y'all to follow along, okay? If at any point you have to leave this live, be sure to click save, send it to yourself, whatever you got to do so that you can come back and be in the room with us when you have a moment. All right. So hello again. I am Sharnice, your inner work coach, and I am here to help you heal, grow, and thrive in your mental state, your emotional state, in your soul. That word is going to be important. I want you to type the word soul in the chat. I think we good now. Everything is good. I want you to type that word soul in the chat. Okay. So tonight, what we're not going to do is relive our trauma. Okay. The point of this is not to relive what happened to you. The point of it is to assess, to acknowledge, and to allow what comes after this. Okay? So I'm going to help you to understand what is trauma actually. Because some of us have different definitions, especially since the pandemic. It's a buzzword at this point. Okay? How it shapes your thoughts, your feelings, your identity, and how you can move forward. All right. Now, before we can heal, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Before we can heal what happened, we have to understand what happened, right? And how it affects us. It is one thing to know something happened and to not know that it happened. Have you ever met somebody? I've met people like this who don't even know that they're traumatized. I just want you to put a 1 in the chat. If y'all hear my fan, don't pay me no mind. I'm getting older now. I take a fan everywhere. Have you ever met someone, or maybe that's you don't even realize, or you did not at some point realize that you were traumatized. You didn't realize that an experience in your life caused you to feel some type of way, to act some type of way, to function, to be in dysfunction. If you're like me, I didn't know that I had a semi, if not fully dysfunctional family. I had no clue. I'm telling you right now, I had no clue whatsoever. No clue. If that's you, or if you've ever met someone like that, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. Okay? Let's define trauma. Let's define trauma. When I'm teaching things like this, I want you to have all of the information that you can, because in order to move forward, I believe you actually have to know what is it, which I've already said. I'm just reiterating. All right, trauma is a psychological experience and emotional response to something deeply disturbing or distressing. Trauma is an experience. That's what I want y'all to get from that. Type that in the chat. I'm going to try to make sure everything is palatable, something that you can understand and grasp. Okay? Trauma is an experience. Type that in the chat. Trauma is an experience that causes psychological or emotional distress or disturbance. Okay? Here's another point I want you to hear, and hear me clearly. Trauma is the experience, and that's twofold. It's what happened, is what they did or what happened to you, and what happened in you. Okay? A traumatic experience involves both what happened to you, external, and what happened in you as a result of that trauma. Okay? So trauma is an experience. That's number 1. If y'all ever can't hear me or see me, let me know. It's an experience. Okay? Trauma is a soul wound. That's the second thing I want you to take note of. Trauma is a soul wound. What is the soul? Y'all remember I said the soul was going to be important, and to type that in the chat. The soul is one of the pieces of how God created you. Did you know that? Did you know that just as God is a triune being, Holy Spirit, Son, and Father, Spirit, Son, and Father, so he created us the same. He created us with a spirit, a soul, and a body. When I was growing up in the old church, the old holiness church, I was taught that the spirit and the soul are the same. It was not until my adult years and then going to school for counseling, becoming a deliverance minister, that I actually learned the soul and the spirit are not the same. A lot of times when we see the word soul in scripture, the Greek word for it is actually mind, not spirit. So what is your soul? It is your mind, your will, and your emotions. Type that in the chat on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. You are a spirit who lives in a body, and you possess a soul. Your soul is your humanity. That's why there's a saying that says soul got saved, because your soul is your flesh. Your soul is what you live from, is what you make decisions from. It's how you think, how you feel, how you behave. All of that is a result of your soul, not your spirit. Your spirit is separate from your soul because God made you human. Let me pull up the comments on my phone too. Your soul is separate from your spirit because God made you human. I feel like I want to stick right there for a second, just to make sure that we understand that God made us human. He didn't make us angels, cherubim, seraphim. He didn't make us majestic or angelic or heavenly creatures for a reason. So that means when trauma happens to you, you know, you don't have the privilege of not facing it because you're human. Your human experience changes when trauma happens to you. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. But you are human. That is a truth that you need to understand if you plan to heal well. You are human. And nothing, he made you human, so he understands. And because he understands, he's giving you a plan. He's giving a strategy. He's giving us tools to heal our soul, to heal our humanity. Okay, let me slow down. Let me go back. So trauma is an experience, number one. Trauma is a soul wound, number two. And number three, trauma disrupts our thoughts, feelings, and behavior cycle. I want you to be sure you take note of that those three things are connected. Trauma affects our thought, feeling, and behavior cycle, or connection. I'll say connection. I don't like the word cycle, actually. Okay? So because your soul is comprised of your mind, your will, and your emotions, your mind is your thoughts. Y'all see where we're going? So you have mind, will, and emotions. I should have made a chart for this for y'all. You have mind, will, emotions. Mind, thoughts. Emotions, feelings. Behaviors, will. It directly proves, the Bible proves psychology. In psychology, we know thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. In Christianity and spirituality, we know mind, will, and emotions. It's the same thing. Your mind is comprised of thoughts. Your emotions help you to feel. Your will is how you make decisions. When we say, or when Jesus said, not my will, but thine be done, that was a behavior he carried out because of a decision. Okay, I'm just laying some foundation here. Now, y'all stick with me because I got to make sure that we understand before we uproot and we break it down. Before you can acknowledge how the trauma affects you, you have to know, what is it? Who am I? I didn't know my soul was three parts. Now, when we get into how this experience affected you, you can go back and say, here are the thoughts that I had. Here's how it made me feel. Here's what I've been doing, how I've been behaving because of trauma. Okay? So trauma is an experience. Trauma is a soul wound. Trauma affects, our soul is comprised of our mind, will, and emotions. And trauma disrupts our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Okay? Now let's go to behaviors. Here's where we're gonna get to some more of the nitty gritty rather than the foundation. Okay? Type in the chat, hidden patterns. Hidden patterns. Hidden patterns. Or you can just type patterns. The way you think, feel, and behave creates patterns, whether they are good patterns or bad patterns. Okay? A pattern is simply, so you know how, let's make this plain. You know how you take your route to work or your route to church, something you do on a regular basis, right? You take that same route 9 times out of 10. That's a pattern. It's real simple. We make stuff so deep and spooky and so no, it's not that. It's very to the point. He made it that way for a reason. You can establish patterns healthily or unhealthily. You take the same route to work, that's a pattern. Your morning routine, okay? We have our older women here and we have our younger women here. For my younger women, you know, skincare is a real thing now. What's your skincare routine? That's a pattern. And even that can be a healthy pattern or an unhealthy pattern. A pattern is simply an automatic behavior or emotional response that operates outside of your full awareness. When this happens, I automatically do this. When this happens, I automatically think this. Trauma creates patterns this way. I'm going to give an example. Let's say, I want to be careful because I want to be sensitive. You know what? This is why you write stuff down. It's in my face. Okay, you always apologize. If you over apologize, even when you think you've done nothing wrong, that's because somewhere somebody made you feel like you were wrong. Now, some of these examples I use as myself, okay? I have a problem. Let's all just go ahead and type that in the chat right now. I have a problem. Because if we're going to make sure that this is a safe space, we have to be honest. We have to tell the truth. So I'm going to tell you the truth on myself. There are times when I still find myself apologizing and I know I ain't done nothing, or either I'm trying to figure out if I've done something, but that is because I was in an abusive relationship that nobody knew I was in, where that man told me everything was my fault. When I was in, what grade was that? 10th grade or 10th grade? 11th grade, and I was sexually abused. I was told that was my fault. Y'all get where I'm going? So the problem became a pattern because I didn't know how to solve that problem. I just knew it was a problem. So it went from this is a problem to I am the problem. Y'all get where we going? It went from this happened to this happened because of me, and I am the problem. That's how we get the progression from a traumatic experience to being traumatized, to making decisions out of trauma, to hidden patterns, and being toxic. Because we take the experience that happened to us and forget that they decided to do that. I'm just going to go with the flow here. I'm jumping all around. But let's write this truth down. Type it in the chat. Trauma is not your fault. That's a truth. Trauma is not your fault. But the patterns and the cycles and the identities that you allow it to create are your responsibility to handle. What happened to you is not your fault. What they said to you is not your fault. What they did to you is not your fault. It is your responsibility to come to a masterclass like this, to go to group therapy, which we're hosting tomorrow. Let's go ahead and put this on the, Lord, I didn't put it in here. I want y'all to come to group therapy tomorrow. I'm going to put it on the screen here in a second. You have to find opportunities to be responsible. Because even though what happened to you is not your fault, it is your responsibility to handle. Type that in the chat. Trauma is not your fault. Okay? So hidden patterns, those are those automatic things that you do. Toxic cycles are just repetitive patterns. First, you create a pattern. Then you create a cycle. Then you become that cycle. You become that pattern and you create an identity. What do I mean? Because I don't want to keep y'all for a long time, but for a good time. So your pattern is what is now established because of what you believe. Y'all remember the example that I used? I was told it was my fault. I started to believe that everything that happened, even if it wasn't my fault, was my fault. Now I believe I create problems. Now I believe nothing I do is good enough. Now I believe that. So now I behave like that. Do that make sense to y'all? I want you to type a 1 in the chat if this is making sense. Now I believe that I am the problem. Now I get into a cycle where, because I've established that belief pattern, that thinking pattern, now every time something happens, rather than me approaching it a different way, now I'm in a consistent cycle. Every time I get in a relationship, I over apologize. Every time I get in a, whether it is romantic or platonic, yours might not be over apologizing. It might be seeking validation because at some point you were rejected. Yours may not be that. It may be over analyzing every conversation, being anal. We have a tendency to over spiritualize things, amen. And it's not that deep. That's not your discernment, not from the Holy Ghost. That's your experience trying to tell you what to do. So you're over analyzing everything. Now, is there a such thing as you may, my words escape me. For example, there are times when I'm in a conversation, right? And they say, we're going to use something real simple. Don't put sugar in your grits. You see how simple that is? Don't put sugar in your grits. Or I don't put sugar in my grits. I put salt and cheese. But because I put sugar in my grits, now I think every time they say something to me, they're coming for me. You get what I'm saying? All they said was, well, I don't do that. But because you overthink or overanalyze everything, you think they got a problem with you. Do that make sense to y'all? Because they think different, because they act different, because they behave different, you think, oh, well, so you must have got a problem with me. That's an overanalyzer. That's also a perfectionist. Someone who overanalyzes, who always seeks perfection, seeks validation. This is how we get to false identities. Everybody type false identities in the chat. I hope this is making sense to y'all. We go from patterns to cycles to identities. It started with a thought. It became a pattern that became a cycle, and now I live like that. The superwoman, that's because of a toxic cycle and a pattern. God did not create any of us to wear an S on our chest. I mean, not now. No woman in the earth, even if she does not serve him, he did not create us to be superwoman. That's a result of overfunctioning. 9 times out of 10, the superwoman, what they're really trying to do is to prove your worth. Somewhere along the line, a traumatic experience told you that you had to work hard. I used to deal with this too, so I can talk about it. Somewhere along the line, trauma told you that you had to always be the one to show up. That's the strong friend. You got to support everybody. You got to be there for everybody. Somewhere along the line, some experience, even if it was your parents, told you that you couldn't depend on nobody. So now you're Miss Independent. Here's another truth I want you to recognize. Sometimes trauma comes through a relationship. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I feel like I have to say this just to be sure that we remember that even when it's the people closest to you, it's still not your fault. Sometimes there is nothing, when I tell you 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, there was nothing you could even do to avoid it happening. We get stuck in these cycles too, these toxic cycles. Well, I'm not going to let that happen to me again. Maybe your pattern is not, I'm going to always apologize, or I'm going to seek validation, or I'm going to overanalyze, but it's, I'm going to shut my heart. I'm going to not get no new friends. Maybe that's what your toxic pattern is. Your toxicity is because you can't depend on nobody. So you're going to only depend on you. You don't even depend on God like that. God tells you, obey me and do X, Y, and Z. And you say, I got trust issues. So I think not. Something that I used to do all the time that was toxic and it became a part of my identity was self-sabotage. Something good would come into my life and that's too good to be true. If any of this sounds like you, I just want you to put a me in the chat. Me, it's me. It's me. Sis, it's me. It's me. Self-sabotaging just about everything. Because I did not think, y'all remember, everything comes back to a thought. Because of what you believe, I didn't think I was worthy or good enough. On one hand, I didn't think I was worthy or good enough. On the other hand, I didn't think nobody else was worth my time either. So I self-sabotaged everything for no apparent reason. Just did it. Because I thought it was healthy for me to protect myself when I felt like everybody in my world was a predator. When you go through certain kinds of trauma and you are not careful to remember the things that we've said is not your fault. And the next one I want you to remember is God did not do that to you. God did not do that to you. Here's the truth I want you to remember. God did not create trauma. Type that in the chat. God did not create trauma. The fallen nature of mankind did. So when we go through trauma, we actually can't even blame God because he had nothing to do with that. And I understand that may be hard to come into agreement with. That may be hard to recognize, to realize, to take hold to, because as Christians, as Christian women, we make meaning of everything, right? You go through something in your life, you say, God is testing me. Hallelujah. Even though it's not that all the time. We make spiritual meaning of everything. Rightfully so. I'm not saying it is wrong to make meaning. I'm saying sometimes we also, what we call in psychology, spiritually bypass. We spiritually bypass. Spiritual bypassing. That means over spiritualize. So rather than remembering that just like I am human, so is the man, the woman, the boy, the girl, the leader, the pastor, the coach, the mentor, the mother, the father, the sister. that did X, Y, and Z to me, they are also human, which means it is by their human fault that my words escape me. It is by their human fault that they committed a sin against me. That's where I was trying to go. Just like sin is not God's fault, it is a result of the fallen nature of humankind, of mankind. So is trauma. So the next time or this time that you are facing it, when you go back to look at, why am I the superwoman? Why am I the strong friend? Why am I Miss Independent? Why am I the peacekeeper and not the peacemaker? The peacekeeper silences them. They don't really say what they want to say. That's the avoider too. Miss Avoidance. Or maybe you the fighter like me. I be having to calm down. You hear what I'm saying to you? It's been several times since I've been in Dallas, Texas. I mean, I have been tested and proven. Proven. Because it's been sometimes I said, honey, do people not know that like the same way you see me pray on somebody's stage and fight the devil, like that's because I fight in real life. But I can't do that. So the same way you can recognize or go back and ask yourself, where did this come from? You have to remember this did not come from God. Okay? Type a 1 in the chat if you are tracking. This did not come from God. God did not traumatize me. And for the person who's probably thinking, well, he's all seeing, he's all knowing, he's omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, he's everywhere all at the same time. He is. And I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. He also gave us free will. Y'all remember that? Do y'all remember? Y'all remember that the Lord, when he created us, gave us as humans free will? That free will also factors in when someone does something wrong to you. Even if it's not something like bodily harm. They harmed your pride. They harmed your not your persona, your reputation. Whatever it is, whatever it was, has nothing to do with him. Because just like the Lord can tell you, hey, don't do that, and you do it anyway, so can he tell them. For the person whose pastor traumatized them or did something traumatic towards them, that wasn't God. God won't in that. God is never in sin. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. Let me calm down. God is never in sin. He is completely separated from sin. He will try to keep the Holy Ghost of God will speak to us and say, hey, how about we not make that decision? That's what he said to your pastor, to your mother, to your leader, if they was listening. Even if when people are not saved, I'm telling you what I know right now. Because God created every creature on this earth, every human has a God conscience. That God conscience will speak to them even when they're not saved. It will not be as loud or as potent, or they won't be as locked in as you and I. But they will say, something told me. I'm sure before you were saved, before your husband was saved, before your child was saved, before your mother was saved, before your bestie was saved, they were saying, something told me not to go that way. I found out on the news that it was an accident on 35, on 64, on 70, on 90. I found out there was an accident in the same spot I was supposed to drive through, but something told me not to go that way. It's the same thing with the person who did you wrong. I'm telling you what I know. It's the same thing with the person who did you wrong. Y'all know when I'm teaching, I'm going to always be transparent, right? I'm going to always be transparent. So let me tell y'all a story about how I know that. Now, I already had it in my head as an idea, like an ideology. I know this to be true, but I had not experienced that yet. A few months ago, somebody that I talked to in a time of my life, I shouldn't have been talking to nobody. It should have been me and God. Honey, I'm telling you what I know right now. Reached out to me. Now, granted, his intentions were not all the way pure, but what God used it for, he didn't know. He comes to me, DMs, they just blowing up. I'm like, we haven't talked in a long periodically time. So why are you blowing my DM up? I didn't even know you wasn't blocked, sir. Okay, let me be real and honest. He said, I just came to apologize because the turn that our relationship, you can call it that because it wasn't, amen. The turn that it took, the Lord told me before I said to you what I said that changed the trajectory of where we were going. He told me not to say that. And I said it anyway, and then I harmed you. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? This here tonight on this live? Do you hear what I'm saying to you? That man said, God told me not to tell you that. I felt it. I was in my feelings. This is what he said. A grown man over 30. Making 6 figures, finna be a doctor. You hear what I'm saying to you? That man said, I am so sorry because the Lord told me not to say that. So the level of trauma that I experienced by walking into a Target and being cut slam out, that was my reputation. You hear what I'm saying to you? Target is my store. I know everybody don't shop there no more, but Target is my place of serenity in a sense. I know I can go to Target and I'm going to have the time of my life just because of the ambiance. I don't know. That man cussed me clean out in the middle of a Target, cussed me out all the way through the Target, and cussed me out before then and after then. But in a public place, I said, oh God, I got to run for the hills. Do you know that did something to me? And when I was not even expecting an apology, but what I just told y'all was proven to be true. I had already believed God is not responsible for that. We all have free will. I didn't at the time have the language for that it's free will, but I knew it wasn't God's fault. When he said that, it was like a light bulb came on. I have to tell more people, God did not create trauma. We know that. But how do we believe that he didn't create trauma? Because he gave us free will. So what that person did to you, I hope this is helping y'all. I hope it is helping somebody. What they did to you, what they said to you was a result of their own decisions. Now, can we try to say that the reason something happened to you a second time and a third time and a fourth time, y'all know the little thing, it say, fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. You know, we say that and we forget that we're human. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. Could we go on to say, oh, you should have learned your lesson the first time? Maybe the reason why you're here on this live, Brenda, Bessie, Nicole, Toria, Ari, Joy, Janice, Miss Tiffany, maybe the reason we're all on this live is because everyone comes with a different lesson. Have you ever thought about that? Yes, Brenda, or their own hurt. Absolutely. It is absolutely true that hurt people. It is also true that those people who are hurting don't always know that they're hurting. This same situation Do y'all understand that this man's mother and grandmother abused him his whole life, and now he was taking care of them? Do y'all hear what I'm saying to you? So it was not until he cuts me clean out that he said, oh, about time I get back in therapy. I said, yes, sir. God bless you. You be on your merry way. They ain't got nothing to do with me. But you go ahead. Because as Miss Brenda said, as a result of his own hurt, his own trauma, now he was taking all of the daggers, all of the backstabbing that happened to him and putting it on me because it was women that abused him. So now he was taking it out on me because I'm a woman, and he ain't had no clue that he was in the house taking care of his abusers. Okay, do that make sense to y'all? I'm going to wrap this up. I don't want to keep y'all here no long time. They are human too. They are human too. That's like telling a child who's only 2 years old that decided to slap you across your face in the middle of a public restaurant and it resounded across the restaurant. I mean, it just ripple effect. Who had no clue what they was doing. That they not human. They don't always know that they are harming. Now, some people do know. Okay, let's be clear. Some people do know that they are harming us, but others do not because they don't even have their own. I want y'all to consider your parents. I'm going to try to move quick, but I keep getting some downloads of some things we need to face tonight. Just like our parents. 7 times out of 10, your parents had no clue what they were doing parenting you. No clue. Just like some of you, I'm not a parent yet, but honey, I can only imagine. I'm going to be like, honey, okay, so I babysat a lot, but there is nothing like having your own child. Just like some of you who are mothers now, you 7 times out of 10 didn't know what you was doing in every situation because all situations are subjective. That's different. So when you think about your parents and what they did to you, I just did some research on parents who died and left their children behind, but they were drug addicts. The child had to grieve. Y'all hear what I'm telling y'all? The child who is now an adult lost their parent or parents to drug abuse, and that drug abuse had affected them as children. So now we are reading through this study of adults who are trying to figure out how to grieve their abusive parent. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? And at the end of the study, a lot of them couldn't do it. Because in their mind, which is true, you are my caretaker. You're supposed to be my provider. You're supposed to provide a safe home for me to grow up in, but you couldn't. Why? It's something that cannot be fully understood at times, but y'all remember I said 7 out of 10. Because there are some parents that 7 out of 10, they just don't know. They don't know no better. But then there's that 3 out of 10 when they know exactly what they was doing. They meant to be abusive. They meant to do what they wanted to do. So how do you forgive a parent? How do you forgive a parent who either did not know no better or knew better? They're human. I'm sorry to make it so seemingly simple because it's not simple to do. It's not simple to feel. It's not simple to process, but the simplicity of it is just what we just said about abusers and accusers, people who've come against us, people who've sabotaged our name, X, Y, and Z. The same grace that you apply to your ex-boyfriend, your ex-husband, your baby daddy, your pastor, the same grace that you want to be applied to you, you have to apply to your parent. And it's hard. I'm telling you what I know right now. I'm going to always use myself, not to talk about myself or to compare you to myself, but to self-disclose that it is possible. Me and my daddy hated each other guts. Well, I can't say that if he hated my guts. I know I hated his guts. Couldn't stand him. Couldn't stand him not one bit. Didn't want to see him in public. Didn't want to be around him. Don't talk to me. I hated y'all. Let me hear what I'm telling you. I'm using these stories to help you to see. I did not even like for people to call me his daughter. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? So when I say, how do you forgive a parent? Let me go ahead and break this down. And then I'm going to try my best to move on and give y'all this chart on the screen. How? I had one side of the family saying everything was his fault and he was this, and this. Then I had another side of the family mad at me because I was mad at him. I'm just like, this is a lot. I did not even like for people to say, you James Noel daughter, because I am my father's identical twin. I am his identical twin. All of his children are. I didn't want to be related to none of them. But I look just like, all of them look just like me. I'm the oldest. Do you know what the Lord had me do when I say, how do you forgive a parent? The Lord woke me up one morning and said, call a ceasefire. And I said, oh, what? I've only heard that in movies. What do that mean? Because a ceasefire means it's a fight. Honey, we was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all the time, fussing each other out, just going back and forth. The Lord said, ceasefire. It has to happen now. Do you know the exact time frame? Me and my father called a ceasefire maybe like 2019-ish. Nope, that was 2020 actually, because I graduated college. In 2021, my mother transitioned to being a Hebrew Israelite. And my life went from like this to like this. And do you know who has been my best friend since 2021? My daddy. So you can't, when I tell you there were some things that he can do, when you take accountability and responsibility to remember that they are human. Now healing with my father is helping me to remember my mother's human, my grandmother's human, my sister is human, my soon-to-be husband is human. We're all human, which means we all make human mistakes. And just like when I was a child, what I didn't know is the man my mother was dating at the time. I told my daddy in his face at 5 years old, I don't want you to be my dad. I want him to be my dad. Do you know what that did to my daddy? Baby, I said, oh God, I don't even remember that. Ooh. Human. No idea. Okay, I want to make sure that's clear. We're all human. How do you forgive a parent who, if they do know they did it, if they don't know they did it, you remember they're human. That's not making an excuse for them. Type this in the chat. Forgiving them is not excusing them. Forgiving them is not excusing them. Forgiving them is not excusing them. Those things are not synonymous. When you forgive them, you take the burden off of you. That's what forgiveness is about, you. It's always been about you, will always be about you. Forgiveness does not excuse them. Now I'm putting this on the screen. Okay, I didn't know it was going to cover some of the words. Can y'all see the screen? I want you to type a 1 in the chat if you can see the screen. We got about 4 minutes and I'm going to try to hurry this on up. Because I want y'all to come back tomorrow, okay? Come back tomorrow. We got more to discuss. I'm going to try to save some from tonight for tomorrow so that I don't keep y'all here too long. All right? This is in the e-guide. If you have not purchased the e-guide, go ahead and get that. I'll make sure to put it back on the screen and under this video on YouTube and Facebook. These are the phases based on how I teach, how I do group therapy, how I do individual inner work coaching. These are the phases of rooted healing, a rooted healing journey. You can think of this as your inner work compass. It's a continual, repetitious pattern. It helps you to gain self-awareness, stronger, healthier habits, and a clear sense of worth and value. The first thing you do is you pause. That means you acknowledge, you identify, you uncover what's going on here. I've given y'all some foundation tonight to be able to go back and say what happened. So that's what happens with pause. You ask what happened. You uncover those hidden beliefs, those toxic cycles, your false value systems, how you equate yourself. And then you go to step 2 and you assess. Now, let me try to take myself off of here. How am I do that? You assess. That's not going to work. Let's try this again, y'all. Jesus. You assess. That's better. You pause, you acknowledge, and then you assess. Once you've acknowledged the wound, the trauma, the pattern, you have to understand what's keeping it going, what's keeping it alive, what turned it into a habit, how does it make you feel? Then you allow yourself, you give yourself the space for truth. You give yourself the space to grow. You give yourself the opportunity to get it right. Okay? You give yourself the opportunity to fix it, and then you repeat. You repeat. That means every time you need to, every time you have to, you don't judge yourself in doing it. You just do it. Repeat it as needed. Assess as needed. Acknowledge as needed. The first step in anything you're going to do in your healing journey is to acknowledge that it's actually there. To acknowledge that you need to do the work. To acknowledge that you have time to figure it out, but you don't have time to waste. Here's the thing about trauma as well. It will cause delay after delay after delay after delay after delay. I want you to type delay in the chat. It will cost you time. Unresolved trauma will cost you. Unresolved trauma will cost you time. Oh, Lord, my computer moving slow. Type that in the chat. Unresolved trauma will cost you time. Or you can type delay in the chat. Don't let it cost you time. Don't let it cost you time. Valuable, viable time. We don't live in a world, we never did, but we don't live in a world where we can afford to lose time. There's grace for you. There is 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 grace for you. Okay. I wanted to make sure I don't keep y'all all night. I hope this was good. On the screen, you are going to see a QR code for tomorrow's group therapy session. Okay. We rescheduled it to tomorrow. We're going to do it at 12 p.m. Central Time. That's 1 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. We rescheduled it to give everyone a chance to come in. To give everyone a chance to come in. What I'm doing here with you all is establishing foundation. It's giving you real life scenarios. It's helping you to see, one, you're not alone. You are not alone in this journey, and you can't afford to do it alone because that'll also cause you delay. So I want you to screenshot this page right now, whether you are on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. You can either hold it down, you can screenshot it. When you screenshot it, right, it's going to go to wherever your photos are on your screen. You're going to hold it down and the link is going to come up. If you need the link, you can either check your email or you can email info at sharthestrategist.com. That includes those of you all who may be watching the replay. Okay, I'm going to put the email here. If you want to join, it is only $25. Now, hear me and hear me clearly now. A regular therapy session is going to cost you between $100, depending on who your therapist is, baby, between $100 and $200 for an hour. A group therapy session can be that same price, depending on who your therapist or your counselor is. Okay. This is not, I won't be going through how to relive your trauma, but in group therapy, I can go a little bit more in depth on some of the things we talked about tonight. You'll be able to talk back to me. You'll be able to get a real personalized help. My goal is to bring someone in from my team and they're going to take notes of everyone, and I'm going to give you all actual action plans. So this is not just come and listen to me like it is tonight. This is actual Christian level counseling, Christian-based counseling, Christian-centered, a Christian-centered approach, a trauma-informed approach, You're not going to relive your trauma, but you are going to have the tools and an actual action plan, your own healing plan. If you still need the e-guide that is in the corner here, while the group therapy is here at the bottom. Okay? I love y'all. Hear me. I want to see y'all tomorrow. I want to see y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be back right here, same platforms. And tonight was about breakthrough, getting to the root, helping you to see where the roots may be. Tomorrow, because if you got the book, you have exercises in there to make sure that you uncover fully. You find out why it's unresolved, where it's unresolved. Tomorrow, we are going to move forward. Okay? Tomorrow is all about moving forward. Tonight, you got the language. I want y'all to type language in the chat. Tonight, you receive language. Everybody type language in the chat. I'm going to type it in the chat too, if I can spell. Language. Tonight, you got language for what's going on inside. Tomorrow, you're going to move forward. All right? I love y'all. Excuse me. Make sure you comment hashtag replay when you watch the replay, and be sure that you share this live. Okay? Excuse me. If you want to sign up for group therapy and you are not able to while the live is on, email info@charterstrategist.com. Okay? I love y'all. I can't wait to see y'all in group therapy tomorrow. Sign up now. Sign up. I can't wait to see y'all in group therapy tomorrow. And I cannot wait to see you tomorrow night. All right? Deuces. See y'all later.